Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Monday, so it is Mark Silvestri Day. We are looking at CYBERFORCE #1, now an ongoing series. Not for long for me though, because I would soon drop off in and around the first few issues of CYBERFORCE originally when I was a kid. And even today, haven't gone through this issue real quick and, going to do the review with you guys here. I'm not going to spend much time on it because there's not much to say. And even as an adult, there's barely anything holding my interest in the series by this point, other than Mark Silvestri's art. So we'll talk about that. Cover, once again, Silvestri, inked by Scott Williams. So at this point, Scott Williams, I guess, was not 100% exclusive to Jim Lee, and he was still continuing to work on Mark Silvestri, at least for a little while there. So you're going to start to see like impact for right away. I think I've talked about this because we talked about maybe this pinup or this advertisement we've seen before. Really starts to look like Maul from WILDC.A.T.S, at least, with hair. So there's the Jim Lee-ification of Mark Silvestri's art, and maybe not quite so obvious here on the cover and even in this first issue, but there's some examples I'll point out, like this one, and which kind of back then even led me to not be into Mark Silvestri quite as much as before. I preferred his slightly grittier style, late Wolverine, very early CYBERFORCE, like the miniseries, and then, this is kind of similar to that, but it starts to veer off into Jim Lee land and becomes less dynamic and animated, and I drop off. So, I mean, pretty stock cover here. We've got Ripclaw the Wolverine rip off in a Wolverine pose, and as you'll see within this comic, a lot of stuff just continually being ripped off from the X-Men is what's going on here, at least. Plot pencils, Mark Silvestri. Plot script, Eric Silvestri. Inks, Scott Williams. Letters, Mike Heisler. Colors, Joe Scioto. So starts off, I will say this right away, this is kind of a dream or hallucination, if I'm not mistaken, of Ripclaw's, where he's injured, and we've got this mysterious figure here with a long green ponytail and claw hands. Ooh, I wonder who that is, right? Obviously it's Warblade from WILDC.A.T.S, and this is setting up the WILDC.A.T.S CYBERFORCE crossover, right, which is going to be happening. And again, this is where basically I left off way back in the day in the early 90s with both series. I just had no interest by this point. Just felt kind of like, like Rob Liefeld's comics as well, and Top Cow and Wildstorm Studios, just kind of banging your toys together. And I was getting a little bit older by this point, and I'm not saying I was like super mature or anything, but I was looking for something a little different, right? I started kind of getting into like, The Crow and stuff like that, but definitely The Crow was dealing with some headier kind of themes and heavier themes than CYBERFORCE and WILDC.A.T.S. Yeah, CYBERFORCE and WILDC.A.T.S, again, was still much more like playing with your toys than, say, reading The Crow. I think this shot here is very cool, very well done, kind of exaggerated and slightly cartoony. And again, very expressive as opposed to a lot of image art. This, looks awesome. The speed that's conveyed just through not just the coloring that's been added, but the actual art and these, it's almost like a manga kind of feel to it. I think that's what Silvestri always excelled at. Even these trees up here in a weird way, like there seems like there's wind and pushing and, which it makes sense with Velocity running by, right? She runs really fast like the Flash, all right? Always, the ladies, he draws the ladies really well, and I think Velocity here, the way she's, just angled and slowing down and stuff, and her face, it's just a perfect kind of female anatomy, dynamism. It doesn't feel like she's posing on this one, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like she's actually just doing that and slowing down. I think it looks cool. Silvestri's always good at the robots, but they're always kind of very nondescript, right? So here comes Ripclaw, and what it's revealed is that basically, once again, like all comics and, at this time in teams, that they're in a training session. So just like X-Force, just like the X-Men, now CYBERFORCE, one other training session for these guys. So Ripclaw is trying to get the point across that, this is a training session, but now, I'm going to scare you and make this real. He's doing a Wolverine. Like, here are the X-Men watching the training session from X-Men #1 by Jim Lee. That's basically, I mentioned, I think, in a past issue of CYBERFORCE. I'm mentioning it again. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at Wolverine and Jubilee, training in the Danger Room. Yeah. So great art, but just so unoriginal. That was always the problem with mostly those three studios, I would say: Top Cow, Wildstorm, and Extreme. And the focus on team books, like, why keep it simple and focus on one character and build, and maybe make a team later with that character included or not? But it's, yeah, it didn't work out for them. Most of them, like Liefeld always did team stuff mostly. Jim Lee, eventually, did he go back to a single character ever? I don't think so. He moved on to DC and just became like editor-in-chief and stuff. But Silvestri eventually actually struck a lot harder with Witchblade. That was another artist, though, who was drawing it. But he struck hard with The Darkness. And that was a single character. Less to draw. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's the typical X-Men, Wolverine, bad guy, you know, to the young recruits, and it's just, yeah, they ran out of ideas and steam pretty quickly when it comes to storylines. Stryker's trying to get Ballistic back, you know, she was advertised and all the promos as part of the team, and she's still not part of the team. And here's where the art, I think, in this sequence to me, is it starts looking a little bit like that Jim Lee kind of posed, you know, very, very sculptural kind of hatching and stuff. And I just, this is, again, where Silvestri starts to drop off for me. Over here, it's, you know, maybe it's the Williams inking. Doesn't help. And more than likely, that's what it is. Some pages do feel rushed within the, like this panel here feels pretty rushed. I would say the coloring on this page looks really cool. This kind of green hue that's going on everywhere, and, you know, through the tank, and even kind of reflective light on this guy's arms and stuff. Looks pretty cool. See, I don't feel like he looks like Maul here on the inside, but he does on the, you know, like he still has fairly normal male facial features, you know, widened and stuff, but, you know, on the cover he's really got the short nose like Maul, where here he seems to just have a regularly bridged nose, if that's how you would say that. See, the action sequence itself is all right. It's not bad, but yeah, again, another shot here where it's veering off into the Jim Lee kind of style more so than Silvestri. And that was, even as a kid, that was one of my main complaints in around this time, and you know why I again, another reason why I stopped collecting the stuff. The storylines were just not interesting and fun to follow, and, you know, Mark Silvestri was slowly turning into a Jim Lee clone, which is not cool because I thought he had a much better, you know, distinctive style before that. This is kind of odd here. There's like two characters with claws going after Ripclaw. Yeah, I guess so. There's two of them. Oh, okay, so that chick that comes in later. Excuse me, that lady who comes in later. Cool shot of Ripclaw up here, though, with the, what I assume are the Twin Towers in the background there. They were still around in the mid-90s. Cool kind of, you know, shot here, but once again, just the Wolverine pose, you know. These 90s characters were just, you know, analogs to characters these creators had already worked on. So once again, Ripclaw's dream hallucination kind of deal, prologuing the storyline that's coming up with this lady here. Once again, forget her name. And so, again, this looks like, you know, another scene in X-Men #1 once again. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Mark Silvestri is just, you know, swiping from from Jim Lee's X-Men #1 for story ideas. Little kind of reference here to Homage Comics on her shirt, and that's basically how the issue ends. They, you know, hear Ripclaw yell, go to his room, and he's already gone. Ripclaw. Then we got Jim Lee, actual Jim Lee art of him drawing Ripclaw here. All of a sudden the hairline's gone really, really high up here. Not quite as pointy as when Silvestri does it here. See, I'd still forget, like, how memorable was this character? I forget her name. And why is she colored differently here than here, you know? mystery, hopefully, that I find out with the last few issues of CyberForce that we'll be looking at, because I haven't looked ahead too much, but there can't be that many left. Maybe 1 or 2. I don't even know if that many. CYBERFORCE. Yeah, so this comic is on the brink of my personal cancellation. We're almost at the end of my CyberForce issues, and Mark Silvestri, basically, and the comics that I have in my run. After that, there's a first issue of a Batman thing he did recently that I want to look at, and that'll be basically it for Mark Silvestri on this channel. You know, unless I eventually find other issues that he's drawn and do want to review those as well. So there you have it. That was CyberForce regular series issue 1. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, little tidbits about this issue, let me know in the comments below. If you are a subscriber and you're still watching, thank you so much for still being around. I really appreciate it. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, or you don't like the videos, please, or haven't liked videos, I should say, up to this point, please do so below. Liking and subscribing really helps us out with the algorithm, helps get us out there to more people who hopefully are like-minded and are into the same stuff that we are, comic books. So everyone out there watching, thank you so much once again. Everyone have a great day. King Comics presents Big Baby Volume 1, issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!